So I got cut off from finishing my last video, so I'm just going to continue with where I left off. And let's see, where were we? We've gone through the spiritual caging, through smear campaigns and isolation. Oh yeah, we were in the mind games and gaslighting tactics that they used based on my truth, that if my truth were to surface, that they wouldn't really like it so much. So we're in 25 ways of the gaslighting abuse, and we were on, I think, 24, 23. Yeah, it was right towards the end here. So 22 is reality flipping, things that should have helped only were aided to hurt you worse. The created situations where every blessing became a curse to be used. So yeah, I mean, literally they're utilizing places in your life where you're reaching for breakthrough, you're reaching for blessing, love, unity in that fashion, and it's just to be used to curse you. And they do it on purpose because it's to mock your insights, which is 23. There's only a couple more here, so this isn't going to be a long message at all, but it's leading to the end of the gaslighting, at least the 25. I mean, I'm sure there's many other ways, that these people have used gaslighting in my life to twist up my reality. But when you're looking and you're searching for love coming from those that shouldn't be betraying you, but are, you're going to have to really use discernment and your own intuition as far as to what they're doing to create these mind games and play these mind games, and to create the witchcraft of manipulation and witchcraft. So we'll move on to 23, is that mocking of your insights. They basically laugh and downplay on your pain. They make your clarity look like a delusion. And it's anything that you're really discovering of them, they need to deflect and even stonewall and gatekeep their own from discovering that these things that you're coming out with are factual. And it's not about betrayal or vengeance. Rather, it's about you just being able to tell your story. Because you and everyone else dealing with this kind of manipulationship or situationship, you deserve true love. You deserve honorable people in your life, people that you don't have to question their contents of character or question their values of love towards you or towards where you're trying to move in your life. When they work up any other mission against you in that kind of fashion, obviously they're going to be name-calling you and stapling a label onto your name as though it's just you, nothing else to see. And it's all done in a very manipulative and gaslighting way. And that manipulation is witchcraft. Word curses, spell, leaving you spellbound with the spelling, the spell work that they're willing to wage this type of psychological torture over its victim. They're stuck in an ego complex. They've let their egos get the best of them. Oftentimes these people have a superiority complex, or they work to try and be in situations of authority, because if you break down the word authority, it's literally authoring someone else's identity, authoring identity. And so when they're willing to work in that fashion, they they're working to 24 keep you in a reactive state of mind, keep you in that reaction, because if they can get the reaction out of you, they can also then utilize that reaction, no matter what it took to get you there, to make you out to be the instability that they're projecting onto you. Meaning, they're the unstable ones, and though, poisoning a person, yeah, it makes you unstable. That's not your original character. Or psychologically affecting your life through abusive manipulationships in these situationships. That's not your love. That's not your value of love. It has nothing to do with love at all. Love is a grand thing. Love is supposed to be amazing and not having you question contents of character. You won't, like, if you're in that true value of love and it's reciprocated in both parties of just a two-part partnership for a loving value, you're not going to have to question those things. They're going to do everything in their power to make sure that you're safe and you feel safe, not having to question the contents of their character. And if they do, and oftentimes people do, just legitimate questions, not like for argumentative sake or anything like that, but legitimately, like, you were supposed to be here at this time. If something happens on repeat, it's up to you how you want to move. You should have the right to your autonomy and your time and energy and your body. So when anybody's trying to poison you up for their own affairs, for their own manipulation, mind games, and psychological warfare over a person, you have to decide for yourself that you're done here. Even if you love these people, which oftentimes the empath does, but you have to decide for yourself, I'm done here, and this cannot go any further. Because if you don't, especially when you're dealing with death threats and things like that, it's going to lead you to die. So keeping you in a reactive state of mind is twisting after already twisting. It's like literally twisting the story after having twisted things up beyond imaginable to these levels. And it's going to keep you defensive, trying to explain yourself, so you never get to rest. Don't explain yourself. Don't feel like you should have to explain yourself for the twists of reality that these people had done. You don't have to explain yourself, is all I'm saying. They literally want to make it to where you never rest. They literally want to get to know your schedule in that fashion, to stake out your life, specifically when you're trying to go to bed, or leave you hard pressed for truth when you're out there working in the field. They want to gaslight you while you're at work. They want to gaslight you when you're driving home. They want to gaslight you within your own home. And all of that manipulation that they take, it's just that strategic overwhelm that they can create, which is the last part of this message. Their strategies to overwhelm you is to leave you literally no room of escape or reason. And the reason I add in the reason is because you don't have the eyesight, the spiritual eyesight to reason, especially when you're poisoned up from birth. We're poisoned up in general, dealing with psychological warfare in general, without poisonings. It leaves you without reason because you just don't see these things coming from the people that you love and that you would be there to support, because you would never do these things to them. So they make you live in a constant fog, and it's just enough chaos to keep you from being able to build and be able to grind forward in your life. They don't want you moving forward in your life, especially without their clutches of control, because then you're able to sense their fear and their fear is legitimately saying to themselves something like this, but it's like if their target gets away and starts to realize and remember the things that we were doing to them, their consciences are at play. Then they have to be accountable for at least themselves looking in the mirror, no matter where they go in life. So these people have a lot to answer to, and if they don't want to answer to it, they have a whole lot to answer to God about. The trick there is, and I can only speak to Christians here, but the trick here is the trick of the devil, is to get people into the circumstance of thinking that because of the abuse that they were drawn into, or because of whatever hatred that they wanted to place over another person's life, that it's to suggest that they don't have the availability of turning to Christ to seek for answers for not only themselves, but where to go with any of the evils that they might have been a part of to perform. But it's a trick of the devil, because the devil aims to rob, to seek you out, rob you, destroy you, and kill you. That's it. And to steal your soul. So if they can think for themselves, to doubt their own realities, that they don't have the right to go to Christ about these things, they're wrong. They have the right to go to Christ about these things. They should be of a penitent heart enough of themselves to be repenting and not leaving any stone unturned. Because if they do that, that's where Christ-likeness can start to be rebirthed inside of their own lives. Though you might be hard-pressed in a way, like you personally, from their activities, that you don't want anything to do with them anymore, they can still decide for themselves how they want to move for the rest of their lives. They don't have to stay and be involved in that crime or in that conspiratorial fashion. They can decide for themselves how they want to move. It's much like the authority figures that literally take how would you say that? Like the negative that somebody else wants to put upon another, their orders. They want to be order followers. If they want to be order followers and simply being order followers and not have to question their own contents of character or what's moral and what's upstanding and what's forthcoming and right to do, these are simply order followers that are literally taking the authority of another in orders given, instruction and order to perform a certain way, even if it goes against their own morality. And that is simply where the problem lies within the system, in the crux of the system, because then it leaves a system that says, I don't have to be accountable for anything that I did, when legitimately they are the creation of that very same to similar kind of crime of projecting, being narcissistic, being the demon shit show that you see out here today, where people with real character and real grit are standing firm. They're standing 10 toes down on their ground. And these people, these syndicates, these traffickers are trying to rip you off of that grounding. They're trying to rip you off of your own footing so that you can't discover the truth. And when people are working in this way to just be order followers, they're literally taking away a person's right to establish that happiness. Not to mention all the other liberties that are going to the wayside, and their rights that are just one after another. Like, you don't have no rights. Bye. because of what they're doing. And so they're trying to project their own abusive power, their own power to be that abusive to an individual, as though that individual, because they can make them unstable and push them and push their buttons and manipulate them and psychologically abuse them and this and that and the other, that's that person. When in reality, that's not that person. That person, especially coming from a poisoned up victim, in that way, I want to be a victor, but I didn't have any choice of like what these people actually did to me, as far as it being completely unwittingly leaving me blindsided to the facts, to not even be able to see that truth. So if they're willing to get away with that, and these people are working to get away with that, they're shaking on a whole system, a whole systemic of issues that's criminal, that's legitimately doesn't want to take any accountability for their actions, because they want to protect the criminal. They want to, like, literally, you know, like growing up, having my mom reach out to Child Protective Services, and Child Protective Services not doing anything to, like, protect me or my sister or my family in that circumstance that my dad actually did. Not even allowing me to take the stand against him. They're actually working in a secret society, or secret fashion, in an occultist design, however you want to say it, to protect the pedophile, to protect the abuser that would do that to a person, and especially to do that to their own, like, their own flesh and fucking blood. Sorry, but that's a sick fucking man. That's a sick fucking crime. Which is why I'm still out here now, coming to terms with what has been happening to me in my whole life, but literally coming to terms with it is suggesting that I still have the right. I should still have the right to take that stand against my father for doing what he did. And if they take away my right to even do that, along with all of the other rights that they've already allowed to be projecting onto me, to take away my rights left and right, my right to travel, my right to work, my right to a love life, my right to my own free will, energy, my mind, my stability, because of a calculated poisoning and because of this calculated assault on my life, all I can say is fuck you, dude. Fuck you. With every fucking last little bit of everything you are. You don't turn away from those sins and turn to Christ, you can go ahead and take the elevator up after life and speak with St. Peter. St. Peter's going to say, I'm going to give you a tour of hell, or a tour of heaven, and then I'm going to give you a tour of hell. When you go down to hell for the first time, it's going to be like, you know, you have a show of like all of these evils that you might want. Like some of these people want. They just want, you know, sex, drugs, and bitches, rock and roll, whatever, you know? So that's what's going to be off the elevator when you go visit hell. But then you're going to go up to heaven and you're going to decide, well, I actually want those things. So you're going to go back down to hell. You're not going to have a trip back up to heaven. You're not given another choice. That door is going to open up and you're literally going to be thrown into a lake of fire. Or however it's done. But that's legitimately it. And these people are like, oh, but this isn't what I thought. This isn't what I wanted. And Satan's going to be like, yeah, because I tricked you. I literally tricked your spirit and tricked your soul to try and give you everything that you thought you would have wanted as a politician or a piece of shit when you lived on the earth. See what I'm saying? And then you're not given another choice. You're going to be in this bottomless pit of parasites and hellfire and whatever the fuck, dude. So these people want to get away from being judged and get away from the wrath of God. Good luck, B. Good luck. Especially if you're trying to clown around with people's lives and work within the systems, creating the constituents of this abuse and the abusive power that you're taking into life to literally take their lives away. So anyway, until next time, this is the second part of this video Thanks for being here. All the encouragement and support that I can get from you guys, it really means a great deal to me with what I've had to go through. So if you have anything to give at all, I'm on Cash App. It's the money sign, Chase Your Dreams Today, or on Venmo, Chase Your Dreams Now. Even if it's just $1 or $2, and you could share this message or share my story with others, it would mean a great deal to me, knowing everything that I've gone through. And if you don't know everything I've gone through, go back in some of my work and find out exactly how harsh that this crime has actually been to me. Thanks for being here. God bless, and I hope that you all help take back our world, make it a better place to live. Because right now, this world and the political climate just sucks. And if they literally get away with these things, all life as we know it is completely over. Any kind of real living, I mean. Life, sure, you're alive, you got a heartbeat, blah, blah, whatever. But if you can call what we're doing in the world and in America living today, let's debate about it in the comments. Thanks for being here. And God bless all of the warriors out here.